Welcome back to another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. I'm your host, Meli Clay, and this is a show about self introspection, about self discovery. It's about learning more about yourself and also learning more about others, which will hopefully encourage you to be a little bit more introspective about yourself and what you have going on. And sometimes I'll do solo episodes, and sometimes I will do guest episodes. And today, as you can see, I have a guest, and I met this guest at the Afros and Audio podcast conference last October. And she just had such an inviting personality. She was
Mhm.
emceeing the first night of that podcast festival, and she was very inviting, having people come in. Didn't even know it was my first time there. So it was just very lovely to meet her, and we connected throughout the event, and I'm just so glad that I was able to meet you. And you are the founder of the Fat Girls Chronicles Media Group.
Yes,
Am I
yes,
saying that right? Yes.
ma'am. Yep, PGC Media. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and this is Leah Rochelle, and I would just love to hear so much more about you. I know that our guests will as well, because I'm not sure if you have the opportunity to kind of divulge about yourself on your show. So I want to give you that platform to do that here. So welcome.
Ooh. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin, but let me just say first and foremost, thank you for having me this afternoon. I'm super excited to be here. I'm so grateful for the connection and the opportunity to connect with you at the Afros and Audio Festival. But even after that, and thank you for being so open and welcoming to have me on your show. Um, like she said, I am Leo Rochelle, and to start about me, that is usually the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, well, I'll ask you a question. So, how did you get
Okay.
involved with the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival?
So Afros and Audio, I came across it scrolling social media. Happened to see it during, I'm gonna say 2019, around the pandemic time frame. I came across it, I found it. I was really looking to do more speaking engagements and things like that because I wanted to perfect and become better at public speaking and become a better presenter overall. And so I saw the information online, happened to apply for it, ended up getting accepted to be a speaker. And so I was really excited. And I've done or been to Afros and Audio since I'm going to say 2021. So the last 4, maybe 5 years, I've done something with Afros and Audio. And I think I've only not gone 1 year since I came across Afros and Audio. I thought it was an amazing space for podcasters and media personalities and things like that to get into, and the people to connect, because they were building a community for Black voices that was absolutely necessary all the way around. And for me, it's important to have those kind of communities and spaces so that, one, I can gain more knowledge and information in the field that I'm currently in, but then also to see what's available, see what's out there, to or to see what's to podcasting, but also to challenge myself to become a better podcaster. So being a part of Afros and Audio and the Black Podcasters Association was right where I needed to be. And so I enjoyed it ever since.
Yeah, I can say as a testimony on your behalf that when I was there in 2025, your speaking skills were on point. Like I was saying before, you were very inviting, very aware of who was in the room, making sure that you touched each person and making sure that people felt like that they were comfortable. And we had a very good time. So I would
We
say
did. We had so much
yeah,
fun.
you've been doing so great. And how has that always been something that you had been striving toward, like even when you were younger?
I've always loved speaking, performing. I've in middle school and high school, I did almost all of the talent shows. I was on theater. I was on in the theater club in high school, so I did the audio engineering. I did singing. I did writing. I was in plays, all of those kind of things. And I've been in choir since I was in elementary school. So speaking was right along the lines of all of those other things. And so I've always wanted to speak in front of people, but I find myself getting excited often when I speak. So I'm often all over the place when I'm talking because I'm excited. But I wanted to hone it in, be able to. And as I've done podcasting over the years, it's helped me a lot with that. It's helped me a lot with finding what works for me, but also making sure that as we're talking, that we're not talking over people's heads all the time. You want to be able to remain relatable. You want to be able to speak to everybody in the audience, regardless of if it's a beginner or somebody who was fully advanced. You want to be able to touch all spaces between the two. And so I don't like people talking over my head either. So I try my best. I try my best no matter what kind of conversation I'm having, whether it's podcasting, whether it's mental health awareness or any topic in between. I want to talk about the things. And yes, we can get technical, but after we get technical, then break it down some more so I can fully understand what's being said or what I'm talking about. So it has been my goal anytime I host, anytime I have conversations on a public platform, my goal has always been and will always be to make sure that the people hear me, understand me, can comprehend what's going on. And then after that, it gives people the opportunity to connect further. Because people are not going to connect with you if they don't understand you or don't understand what you're trying to get across to them. So I'm not going to waste nobody's time. I'm not going to waste nobody's time. Let's get to the nitty gritty and have the conversation, but have it in such a way that everybody can be a part of it and not just certain people.
Right, especially with podcasting, you never know who's going to come across what you are putting out there.
Yep.
And in order to make it a space that is worthwhile, I feel like even as a podcaster, making your time spent worthwhile is to be able to engage people in what you're saying versus, oh, I have all this experience, whatever the case might be, but people are not able to connect with you. So then what's the point of doing it in the first place if you're
Yep.
not able to have a dialogue about something or to raise awareness about something or to maybe even try to change someone's mind? Like if you have a persuasive argument or something, you need to be able to find that point where yes, you are able to connect with other people.
Yeah, because that's the point of a podcast is to relate to your audience. You're not creating a podcast to just say, oh, now I just put it out there. No.
Hopefully. And
Yeah,
some people,
right.
maybe they
Hopefully
do.
that's not your
Right, right.
reason.
They might use it like as a, who knows why they might use it, but maybe eventually they will see, okay, I'm putting it out there. I'm building an audience and let me try to connect with my audience. 'Cause
Yeah. Yeah.
otherwise,
That's the hope
what's the
that as
point?
we're doing
Right.
podcasting, that we're intentional about the reason that we started. Because my reason for starting was I started this years ago, 15 years ago to be exact. And
Wow,
I
you're
started
like
with,
one of the pioneers.
listen, I started with blog talk radio and then transitioned into other things. I've done in-person shows, kind of like my own Jimmy Kimmel or, situation where we had a live studio audience, we had a DJ, all of those kind of things. And we did that for a while. And then I transitioned to radio. And then after radio, then I transitioned to podcasting because it was the one space that was easier for me to do without having to depend on another entity or anyone else to be able to navigate it for me. And we started the reboot of the podcast in 2020. So we've been with the podcast for 6 years.
So tell me more about
In
tell me more
September.
September of 2020.
September this year to be 6 years.
Oh, it'll be 6 years. Oh
Yeah.
wow. And especially doing that during lockdown and the pandemic, like staying focused on that. How was that experience?
It was fun because the people that became a part of my team, my co-hosts, and all of those kind of things, we were all over the place, but we were still able to come together, do the podcast, give that on-screen connection, energy, all of that. We were able to come to the forefront of the screen, regardless of us being in 5 different cities. We had an amazing time. We were able to have a great camaraderie, great connection, great conversations, and people loved it. And I think during that time, people really wanted connection. People really wanted the opportunity to connect, be heard, be seen, be understood. And outside of doing the podcast on video, we also have a Facebook group. So we would take our conversations from the podcast and then move it into the Facebook group. And then after we would do the conversations in the group, then we would set up a video chat and we would have the conversations that way. And that's why I say a lot of times I miss the pandemic because we had the opportunity to connect in ways that most people aren't able to now because life picks back up. Things got back into the flow and faster pace and things like that instead of it just being us having the ability to slow down. We no longer have the ability to slow down as much, connect as much, create as much as we were able to during the pandemic. Some people were creating art galore, and we saw how many things were able to be created and made because people were sitting at home. They were making breads and jams and all kind of things of that nature because they had time, they had the mental space to not always be on the go, not always worried about this, and their laundry list of things. So they were able to create, spend time with family, nurture, take care of, and all of those kind of things. So the pandemic was a time that, although a lot of people didn't like it, I was all for it.
There were things that we can take out of that for sure. I think like it sounds like you were building a community when your podcasting was getting started. Like you said, you were having Facebook chats and video chats based off of those discussions you were having on the podcast, like bringing it to being more interactive with people who were able to connect because we were all online, it was virtual. Did anything come out of those types of forums?
Absolutely. So many people that we've had the conversations with, friendships, business partnerships, business connections, networking opportunities. A lot of people were able to kind of ease their mind. Their mental health kind of was a lot better because of those conversations and the space to be seen, heard, and understood. Because a lot of the people that we were connecting with were people that lived alone, people that didn't have a lot of family in their areas, or a lot of people didn't live with other family members. So they may have, it might have been them and their partner or something, but not children, not a whole lot of family. So we gave people the opportunity to connect and really just say the things, whatever the things were. We didn't have parameters all the time when we had those conversations. It's like, well, let's just show up and see what happens.
Mhm.
Let's see where these conversations go, or what rabbit holes we end up going down because we're having candid, authentic conversations with grown people. And that becomes a whole different kind of space because people now feel relaxed. They're able to talk about their insecurities, their worries, their self esteem, their random intrusive thoughts because we don't get a lot of space to let the intrusive thoughts win. So that was the space for it. And I think so many more people were excited because they knew that that was the space for them to do those things. Oh, it's Tuesday, PGC, we're going to do the show, then we're going to have the conversations. And if people couldn't watch the show, they were always ready for the conversation. So that's what I loved about it. I loved that we were creating that space for people during that time frame.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think you're able to have something like that even now that we are not, locked in our homes?
You can. I think it's a lot harder to kind of bring people together to sit still and have those kind of conversations for hours on end. I mean, we would start sometimes those after conversations, maybe 10 o'clock, and we would be on there till 4 or 5 in the morning because
Wow.
nobody had work. Nobody had to go to work. Nobody had to really prepare for the next day unless they were working virtually. And even then, some people were starting later in the day. So we would have extensive conversations about whatever during that time frame. But I do think we can have those conversations. We can set up those opportunities. It takes a lot more work to do it now, and it takes a lot more effort for people to be able to show up now.
Mhm,
So
mhm. What do you think people can do to kind of maybe get back to some of those practices that they were doing when we were in, um, lockdown? Like, you were talking about how people were creating art and people were doing things that were maybe a little bit more, um, like, taking care of themselves without really engaging in the rat race. Like, are there ways that you can see maybe we can get back to doing some of those things even though we're not in a lockdown?
I think being intentional is important. Being intentional about setting aside that time. A lot of us don't we aren't very intentional about how we move through the world or through our time or any of that. A lot of us, we have the job, the children, the hobbies of our children and things like that. And so it does make it harder for people to slow down and intentionally do the things that they love, unless it's something that they're doing as their career, or if they're an entrepreneur, then they're doing the things that they love. But even being an entrepreneur, you still need other hobbies. You still need other things, because being an entrepreneur, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're your everything for your brand. So we have to be intentional about putting all of that to the side and doing something that we love. You love
Mhm.
listening to music, be intentional about that hour that you set aside for yourself. You love creating art, be intentional about that hour that you set aside to create some art. You love cooking, outside of cooking dinner for yourself or your family, but you maybe baking is your thing. Set aside that hour to intentionally bake or read or draw or color or whatever it is that you love, because we spend so much of our lives in the rat race. And I think I broke this down not too long ago that there are so many hours in a week. And by the time we calculate for work, sleep, and commuting, there's about 20, maybe 36 hours left of someone's week that's not accounted for, especially if we don't include children's activities, other extracurricular, if someone is in school, all those kind of things. So we literally have maybe 1 to 1.5 days left of time to actually break down and figure out within that next 36 to 24 hours that we have left, what am I going to do with that? Because we always hear people say we all got the same amount of hours in a day. Do we? Do we really? So being intentional about it, but also be unrelenting about what you want to do with your life. Be unrelenting. If you want to paint for your hour, You have to be so disciplined to tell everybody else, hey, listen, this is my time for myself. When it's done, we can get back to everything else. And that's the hard part for a lot of people, to be that disciplined, to be that controlled, to be that contained, to say, this is my hour, I'm going to take it. I'm still learning myself. And it's just me.
Right, right.
It's just
Same,
me. And I'm still learning
same.
to say, okay, take your
Mhm.
hour. Because I can get up and I can throw myself into posting, social media, this, that, and the third, everything with the podcast, everything with the brand, reaching out, connecting, doing all of these things. And yet, I didn't take my hour. I didn't take my 2 hours if that's what I choose. But being disciplined and getting back into that space of being disciplined about the things that I want, that are mine, and that I am not going to budge on. And I'm learning.
Yeah,
So that's why I can say that's exactly what we need to be doing because it helps.
definitely.
Yeah, it helps
Definitely.
a
Yeah,
lot.
I hear you 100%, and that's something that I find myself going in waves. It's like, okay, for this amount of time, I've been on it, like I've been very disciplined, and then something happens either with work or in my personal life, and it throws me off, and then I start acting in a reactive way to the circumstances around me as opposed to making sure that I'm still intentionally taking that time out for, like, if I want to write or if I want to make sure that I'm working out or something along those lines. Sometimes it's like, okay, this was a very hard day and I'm just going to go to sleep. Like, I just need a nap or something. And I think that can snowball into me then not doing the things that I want to do for myself. And it's very easy to not do those things that I
Oh,
set
yes.
up for myself. Mhm.
So easy. It's so easy to navigate to the, well, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes 6 months later where we haven't gotten back into the groove of things. We haven't got back to doing the things that we love. And then, like you said, life, work, mental health, all of those things play a part in us not being able to get back to those things. Because as much as I love to paint, it's been hard for me to paint. That's one of my favorite things to do, is but it's been hard because I'm like, but what do I want to paint? How do I feel? And then we also have to think about our own judgments and our own things that we put on ourselves. Like, somewhere along the line, there are these thoughts that we have to be perfect. There has to be some, and it's like, oh my goodness, just do it already.
Right, right.
Just do the thing. Just do the thing. Stop thinking
Yes.
about the perfection or all of the other things that come along with it. Just do it. And then if it's not perfect, do it again. And that's how you become better at it. I think a lot of us start something new, or even something that we've done for a period of time, but if we've taken so much time off and get back into it, then what are we? We're new at it again. And so we don't give ourselves that room to not be perfect, or the room to enjoy the journey of the things that we're doing. And so that's one of the spaces that I'm in currently. Like, okay, stop overthinking it. Just do it. Sit down, have fun with it. This doesn't have to be a thing where you have to focus on whether it's going to sell, if somebody else going to like it, if somebody else going to buy it. No. This is for you, for your mental health. This is for your enjoyment, for your life's purpose. Just do the things, have fun. And when I've started to have more fun with the things, they turn out so much better.
Mhm.
They turn out so
Yeah.
much better because I'm not overthinking and I'm not stressed about it. I have more fun. Stuff turns out beautiful, and I'm like, oh, this is much better than I thought it was gonna be.
Right, right. You're not over calculating, okay,
Yeah.
this needs to go here. I need to do this because I saw in this algorithm that this is doing well. And it's
Yes.
it's almost like an act of rebellion against capitalism. Like, I can do something simply to enjoy it and not to think about if it's gonna make money or how productive I'm being in the moment.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think that's the other part of it too, is that our lives have become part of the algorithm. Like we feel like everything that we do has to fall into the algorithm, or everything that we do has to go on social media, which is why I find it hard to create content, because I like living my life, but not without always having to have my camera on. I like my life without always having to explain every part of my life. Content creation to me is slightly weird. Why do I have to put my phone in my refrigerator to show you that I'm opening my refrigerator from the
Sure.
outside?
Sure.
Why
And
do I
I
set
mean,
my phone outside of my house to go back inside of my house, close my
yes.
door, record myself opening my door and coming out of my house? Where
Yeah,
are
what are we
we?
what are
Like,
we doing? That can be radicalized. I'm not really sure when or how that became the way of like, vlogging or whatever. Like we don't have to see, cut out the boring bits. We don't have to see all that stuff. You could even just voiceover talk about what you did that day, and it doesn't have to be a step by step. But anyway, I digress. I
yeah,
definitely hear what you're saying. It's
yeah, like,
become like selling ourselves to um an insane amount.
yes. And to put it plainly, and this people might not even connect the dots, but you're literally prostituting yourself, and then we get online and people talk about, oh, some of you this, that, and the third. No, that's what you're doing. You are selling yourself to the world and expecting them to consume you in such a way. Now, that may not be how other people see it, but that's exactly what it is. You are asking people to consume you to make money. And to me, that is so weird. I'm like, no, I'll do some talking head videos, or I'll,
Yeah, it's not the way you're choosing to engage with it. Mhm.
yeah. And it's like, I think we just have to learn that we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, we all want to be understood, but do it in a way that's authentic to you.
Yes.
Because the content creation and the way people want content to always be out, even at one point in time, there was the whole thing, your content has to be 7 seconds or this. And then we saw micro content, we saw everything was 10 seconds or less. And I'm like, what are we doing? Why is
Mhm.
everything a um everything is being consumed in ways that are unrealistic, and it's making us become less realistic in the way we expect things to be presented to us as well. People can't even consume a 1 hour podcast, because an informative, well put together podcast, because there's no drama, there's no hook, there's no like. So we can't do things that make sense or add up or make people slow down and actively see that conversations are necessary, and hearing things without all the chaos is necessary. So, yeah, I've been having a lot of thoughts about that
Yeah,
lately.
yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about Fat Girl Chronicles and your brand, and how, if it does, how does it relate to some of the things that you've been thinking about lately?
So, with the Fat Girl Chronicles, when I initially started it, it was just a way for me to talk about my things, get things off of my chest. And once I started that, I realized that there may be other people who need to have a space to talk about their things or get their things off their chest and all of that. And the Fat Girl Chronicles has always been about me until I expanded it. And so, after a couple of years of doing it, it's still the Fat Girl Chronicles is one of the podcasts, but now the umbrella is PGC Media,
Mm,
because we want multiple shows on our platform. We want people to come tell their stories, whether it's a podcast, uh, um, a documentary, or audio drama, whatever it is. We want people to feel comfortable coming to this platform telling their story, talking about their things, and also giving people the understanding that you are not alone in this life that you are experiencing. Because we experience life, but we always think that we're by ourselves in the way that we experience
Yeah.
it. And I want people to come over here and tell their stories, and then they realize that it's not only their story, it's so many other people's story as well. It's so many other people that have this experience, that have had this understanding, or have had something similar to happen. And so now that's how you build community, not necessarily trauma bonding, but oh my God, I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel understood. And on the PGC Tuesday show, we talk about all those things. We talk about relationships, mental health awareness, music, television, movies. We talk about life across the board because that's what we need. We need to talk about the things. And when we talk about everything, then we don't feel alone. And outside of not feeling alone, we also feel a connection to a complete stranger. And how often do you do that? How often do you feel a connection to some random person across the world? And you're like, "Oh, okay." So, that's our Tuesday show. I do a show on Wednesdays that's called Lyrical Lessons with Leo. And that show is a deep dive into the lyrics of some of the music that we've loved and listened to over our lifetime. And I take the lyrics and I break them down into a therapy type of conversation where I talk about, well, this lyric means this. And so I have my first episode. It premiered last week.
Oh,
My first episode is
congratulations.
out. And the song that I did the deep dive into is Something in the Way You Make Me Feel by Stephanie Mills. That song is about emotional connection and bonding, and how in relationships a lot of times we find ourselves not just being grounded by that person, but some of us end up being dependent on that person. So it's talking about the separation between emotional connection, grounding, and dependency. So those kind of breakdowns of the lyrics. And then this week, there's a song called Pillow Talk by Sylvia. Some of my songs are very old school because that's what I love. But if you listen to the breakdown, I hope that it will make you listen to the song and really dive
Mhm.
into more of your favorite songs to really get the message in the lyrics. So, and then on Thursday we do a combination show. It's a partnership show with Sarkarigans Media Group. It's called Thursday Night Live. So it's PGC Media and Sarkarigans Media Group. And this Thursday Night Live, we just do all kind of we dive into the social media things and everything that's out there. We do clips and do our takes on the clips. And then sometimes we pod, but on Thursdays is usually our fun time to just talk about whatever. And on Fridays we have PGC After Dark, and that's our show where we talk about intimacy, relationships, sexual health and wellness. Um and that show has really grown in such a way because people are starting to understand that there is more of a connection to who you are with in relationships when it comes to your mental health. You can't show up in sexual health and wellness without your mental health. You can't show up in relationships without all of those things and intimacy and connection. So sensuality, all of those things play a part of who you are, not just in relationship or not just in sexual relationships, but how you appear as a person as well. So we talk about all of that on Fridays, and we are building out more. So I've had an amazing time building this platform. And I can't say that I do it alone. I do have people that are behind the scenes helping me, as well as my co host on all of the shows. So it's been a great run, and I'm looking to continue building it out and having a great time. And we've learned so much from each other, from the platform, from the shows, from our guests. And again, we've been doing this almost 6 years. So it's helped me to become a better leader. It's helped me to become a better person. It's helped me to learn so much about myself, business. This brand has taught me a lot. It's taught me so much, and it's still teaching me things regularly. So I'm grateful and just looking to do more and expand more in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, it sounds like you are building your passions into a place where you can distill it down, speak to people, have conversations about it, but really um be in a place where you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your passions, and through this media group. And I actually had Pablo on the show in last season,
Oh,
Kerrigan's media group, yeah, who I also met at Frozen Audio, and I love that y'all do a connected show.
yeah.
And so what is it? So it sounds like you've done a lot of discovery about yourself. How did you get into that space with yourself, and how come you decided to have your media group focus around those types of things?
Well, I've experienced a lot within the last 10 to 12 years. Losing my mother was one of the biggest things that I've experienced, and it really made me realize how precious life is,
Hmm.
and how a lot of the things that we don't do, don't say, don't open up about are really a part of how we become our greatest selves. And I found more of my purpose in her loss. When something or someone that is deeply connected to you and tied to you, and you identify who you are because of who they are and because of how they exist in the world, you recognize, okay, they're no longer here. So how do I identify? How do I show up? Who do I tell people that I am if I'm not saying that I'm connected to this person? And so it was a whole identity crisis. It was a whole identity crisis. It was a whole reconnecting to self. It was a whole under a new understanding of who I am, who I'm becoming, what I want out of this life, what I want to do. And me reconnecting with myself, it took therapy, which is why I talk about mental health awareness so much, because I didn't recognize what grief looked like. We talk about grief a lot, but we don't talk about what grief looks like or how it shows up or how it presents itself. People just think grief is a lot of crying and a lot of sadness. But grief isn't. Grief is anger. Grief is acting out. Grief is spending all your money and then losing everything. Grief shows up in so many different ways. And I want people to be able to recognize that, because I didn't recognize it in myself, and I had to learn what it looked like for me. So that's why we talk about mental health awareness so much. But even within my own journey, I've dealt with so many other things uh, since my mom passing, that I've had to continuously reflect and deep dive and say, okay, this doesn't work, this works. Let's keep some of that, not all of that. And then rewiring my brain and how I show up and how I talk to people and how I present myself to the world. And then also learning what to let go, because a lot of,
Oh,
can you hear me?
yes, you're back.
Oh, I can't hear you. My goodness. Mm. And so with mental health awareness and just showing up and how we've shown up in these spaces and across time, it helps us to recognize that we are human. We do need to take time. We do grieve. And even though the world does not see your grief as a reason to put life on hold, it is, because you cannot show up fully when you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders and sometimes both shoulders and your back or on your head, because a lot of the grief and a lot of the thoughts are spiraling in your mind and happening in that way. And so I tapped into therapy. Therapy has become my everything. Navigating depression, anxiety, and grief all at the same time. I'm glad to say that I can still appear and show up and be present, because we do not give each other enough credit for the way that we show up. Because some people could not show up at all. Some people could choose to just be like, no, I'm over it. I'm through. I'm whatever happens, happens. I've been in that space. I've been in the whatever happens, happens. I've been in the I'm here but I'm not happy. I'm here but I'm getting better. There's a transition. And I think as a society, we expect people to always be on, always be going, always be doing, producing. And that within itself is harmful. The whole "I'll sleep when I'm dead" rhetoric is insane. No, I'm going to sleep now. And I slept today because I was choosing to get my rest. I was choosing to sleep. I was choosing to recharge myself because I've been neglecting that. And we have to be mindful of those things, be mindful of how we show up. But even more so, we have to be honest with ourselves about where we are. If we don't do that, if we're not doing that, then we give ourselves and other people the opportunity to expect us to always be producing. So then we miss out on people who genuinely care about us or genuinely love us or genuinely show up for us, because they're always expecting us to be producing. They're always expecting us to be on. And that's a disservice to ourselves and the other people that we're actually looking to serve, because that's what they're going to expect all the time.
That's
So,
so true.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, thank you so much for sharing about, the
absolutely.
loss that you've experienced and how that has impacted you, and even through all of that, maybe that is, I'm assuming, but maybe that's how you feel your mom's still close with you.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like she's pushing me all the time. I feel like because of the loss, I've had to reconnect with myself. I've had to find out who I am and what my life's purpose is and stand on my own 2 feet, because a lot of us that had amazing parents or even just good parents or great parents, or a lot of us were able to lean on our parents and say, but and some of us had our parents as a way to escape. And I feel like I've grown a lot more. So that's the beauty in the loss, is that I've been able to figure out who I am and had to really truly do a deep dive. I've had to unlearn a lot of things. I've had to
Mhm.
relearn some things. I've had to find new ways of understanding things. And so I think that's the beauty of of loss, that it forces us to become who we're supposed to be and living in our divine purpose, because otherwise we would still hold on to that version of ourselves that was attached to that person. So I've been able to find that in the loss, and recognizing all of the beautiful ways that I've been able to become the woman that I'm supposed to become, even after that, even during the grief, even during the unknown spaces and moments, because it becomes a more beautiful journey when we recognize that it is not going to be a beautiful journey. Like, it is not always going to be a consistent, it's not a straight line. It's all over the board. It's all over the place. It's curves and everything. And so I think when we get comfortable in the unknown and the unknowing, it becomes a lot more beautiful then. we could have ever imagined. Yeah.
That's very profound, and it sounds like you're telling people, give yourself permission to not always have to show up as you think you need to be as perfect,
Yeah.
because then other people will understand how to see you and to see you as like a full being of I'm not always going to be on, I'm not always going to be producing, but I am like perfect in my humanness, and
Yep.
that's how we should approach each other and see how we can show up for each other, and maybe see how that person needs to take a rest, or that person needs time away, or whatever the case might be. And I think that is also um very beneficial when we think about community and how we show up for each other, and like what the expectations are in a community.
Yep. And even sometimes it's just simple. Sometimes we might not need other people to do anything. We might just need people to be sitting here while we're doing nothing. I might just need your presence. I might just need your energy. I might just need a hug. It could be the simplest of things, but a lot of times I think we think showing up means grand gestures. Mm-mm. I just want you to be here while I sleep. you know, Sometimes that can be it. I want you to be here while I sleep, or I want to watch a movie with you. And sometimes it doesn't mean that you have to physically be here. We could be on FaceTime or Google Meet or whatever and watch a movie together. We could be on the phone and watch a movie together. But those simple things, those small things really make a big difference in how we can heal one another and how we can help with the healing of ourselves. Hmm.
And you've been doing that with your media group. You've been doing that with the various shows and really helping people. I think it sounds like you've been having a really great impact in it, and you will continue to be in that space. Like, where do you see PGC media going? You were saying in the next like 6 to 12 months, or even beyond that.
In the next 6 to 12 months, I do want to add several shows, but not just shows, segments where we are connecting with the community, connecting with people on the streets, and getting outside so that we are actively in the community. Most of my team and I are kind of all over. Like I said from the beginning, that's how we started. So having a team in my area is it's not a big deal to me. But one of the biggest things I do want to do is to get out into the communities that we do live in. Building community in where we live is important. Building community as a brand, but building community as a unit makes a big difference. So getting out into the streets, building community. We have done some give back initiatives in the community over the time frame, but we would like to do more of them. We usually do a toiletry drive. A lot of times people collect clothes and things like that, but a lot of times we forget toiletries. We forget about the day to day. We forget about deodorant and toothpaste and toothbrushes and things. So we make it a point to collect those things. And then we put all of our collections together and we go pass them out in the communities. And we also give out sack lunches when we do that as well. It's a way to make sure people are fed, but also clean at the same time. So we look to do a few more of those initiatives within the next month or two, and and then move them into the new year. In the new year, we would like to do socks. That's one of the biggest things that when we've connected with people, they're looking for socks. They're looking for ways to keep their feet warm and things like that throughout the winter. So outside of toiletries, we want to do our socks and things. And outside of the community initiatives, building more, doing more live in person events, and then also building to where we're doing more things like videos, documentaries, photography, sessions, and things like that for the brand. We do have a partnership with Haitian Boy Images where we do photography and they do photography for us as well. So they are actively capturing what we're doing when we're out in the communities and serving the people. And so it's been amazing to connect with so many dope brands, so many dope podcasters and people. And I just want to do more of that. I want to do more of that. I want to continuously show people that with intention, with love, with care, concern, and consideration, we can truly change the narrative of how people move. Because when you show people that you care, that you are concerned, that you are considerate of how they are, then it will move the needle in how they show up for other people. It'll move the needle. I'm showing you that I care about you, your well being, then you're going to spread the word or you're going to share part of your well being with somebody else too. And I think if we do more of that, there will be less of all of the other stuff that we're dealing with in the world. And we'll be able to actually move the needle in love, because that's the revolution, is love. It's not violence, it's not war. The revolution is love. So yeah.
I mean, that is great. It's amazing, like you were saying, and you've been able to partner with a lot of different people who are in that space. And so I imagine that would be pretty uplifting as well. Like, okay, I see other people are striving to do this as well, and leading by example and engaging by example, showing up. I think that's great, and I wish you all the luck.
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad that you were on here, but I do want to ask one last question. I've been asking this to all of my guests in season 4, and I would like to know, if your 20-year-old self could see you, what about you now would amaze her?
Oh, 20-year-old me. It What would amaze her is that I actually stuck to my guns and chose to go the unbeaten path. Because when I was in my 20s, I was trying to do what was expected of me, what everybody else had in mind for me, what everybody else wanted for me. And at 41, I have chosen to go the route that is not a frequent one for my family, for friends, or any of that. This is the path that I wanted to take. This is the path that I've chosen. And even though it's not where I thought I should be, it's where I feel most uncomfortable, but also willing to take the risk. I take risk on myself all the time, but this path has made me take more risk and be more uncertain, more unsettled. And I think this path is what's helping me to become my best self. And I think she would be so proud of that, because the 20-year old me was more of a people pleaser, more of doing what um just what was expected of a 20-year-old at that time. Even though I've always been my mother's wild child, that was my nickname. I still was in that little bit of a bubble where I was doing what was expected. And I think I am moving more into my wild woman era. And I'm excited about that for me and for her and for 10-year-old me and all of those kind of things. So I'm looking forward to what this next part of this journey holds.
That's amazing. Thank you so, so much. I love that, and I hope that you continue to reflect on that. And she's proud of you, and you should also be proud of you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
am.
Let the people know where they can connect with you, how they can engage, all the things, and I'll put the links in the show notes.
Alrighty. You can find me at I am Leo Rochelle, and that's I am LeoRachel on all social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on all of those. For PGC, you can either find us under PGC Media or the Fat Girl Chronicles, and that's PHAT. You can find us, type us in. You can Google us. We are Googleable, and we are usually the first one to pop up, and you can find all of the things attached to the Phat Girl Chronicles, PGC Media, PGC After Dark on Google. And the second episode of Lyrical Lessons with Leo premieres this Wednesday at 7 p.m. So check us out. We're everywhere. And if you would like to connect with us, you can send us an email, thephatgirlchronicles@gmail.com, or the Phat Girl Chronicles podcast at gmail.com. You can check us out, send us any information. If you would like to be a guest, connect with us, collab with us on some of our initiatives and all of that, you can send us an email.
Yes, connect with Leo, engage with all the spaces that she has set up. You can enter into that community, I'm sure of it. And thank you once again, Leo. I so appreciate you coming on here, dropping gems, dropping things for us to live by and to stop and think about how do I apply this for myself. And I so much appreciate it. And thank you again.
Ooh, thank you for having me. Thank you for building this platform to help people to reflect and kind of do a deep dive, because this made me feel good that I am further along in my journey than I thought I was. So thanks.
Okay. Come on now. I love that. Yes, that recognition of seeing
Thank
like, okay,
you.
I've been doing the work and I'm reflecting it now. And
Yeah.
even if, for the people listening, even if you haven't even started doing the work, be encouraged that it might seem scary, but it's less scary once you actually start, and give yourself a break.
Yep.
We're
And it's
all,
worth it. It's so
yes,
worth
it is so worth it.
it.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been another episode of the Me in the Making podcast. Please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Tell a friend, tell a family member. We all deserve to grow and change and become our best selves, whatever that might look like to you. And please connect on Instagram at Making Me Pod, on TikTok. You can email me at meli@makingmepod.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you want to be a guest on the show. And yeah, I'm just having such a great time. I'm so happy to have been able to launch this video episode for you all, and come again. Bye.